McDaniels is looking for a call. Good luck. Simmons tracking it down and somehow providing a finish. Come good soon enough. Sure enough, he did. The fake hit paid off. And behind the back to Embiid, Joel getting his first bucket of the game. Embiid has already missed a couple of threes. There's Green in for a three. Got it. So Danny Green hits the sneaking up there. Trying to pass Joel's attention.
Well, here we are, Sixers post game. Unfortunately, not a sweep, not the way we wanted this to go down in Washington. But I'm going to tell you right off the bat, Tony Jason Catillo, joined as always by Al Griffin, Advanced Crew, filling in for Mr. Andre Johnson Knight, who's on the mend a little bit. That's okay. We'll be back Wednesday night. Wednesday night could be a blessing in disguise because it's full capacity, right? But let me just start off, and I'm going to go to both of you guys because it's going to be a little different jigsaw tonight because I really don't care. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm talking, listen, I'm seeing a ton of stuff on the Twitter line. Ben got to make free throws. Why is Mike Scott playing? What's going on with the offense? Listen, man, every now and then, this was the perfect storm. You had foul trouble in Ben. You got Robin Lopez looking like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, come on, give me a break. I mean, everything that you didn't want to happen happened tonight. So it was, to me, I'm actually happy with the way I see guys like George Hill and Tyrese Maxey step up. Furkan Korkmaz doing everything he can to try to help us. But the one player – I'm going to get to you guys. Here we go. The one player. Al, I'm going to come right to you. Okay, we've been on the Tobias thing back and forth, Mr. Tobias Harris, right? Before we even talk about Ben and the free throws, because even though we played Hack and Shaq back in the day, they still found a way to win. So I'm not going to kill Ben. I'm not going to kill him. Sorry, I'm just not going to do it. But who I am going to kill is Tobias because I thought he came up soft when he was being guarded by guys like Raul Neto, Ish Smith. You're going to take those guys in a hole. You got to take them strong. He looked scared. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. But Al, what did you say?
I mean, you're right on point with that. I mean, I'm watching and I'm like, first of all, he wheels and deals and gets to his spot where he's going to shoot. You don't let the defense dictate to you where you're going to shoot. I don't understand how you let your shot get by minimum 4 to 5 times. 4 to 5 times because you didn't go strong. You want to go a little weak. Then I seen a little, which was a little worrisome. I seen a Tobias last year where he started hesitating on his shots. I seen a wide open shot at the top of the key where he'll just catch and shoot, bury that, and he hesitated. I don't like that. I don't like this game from him at all. He shot 8 for 24. Who is on Washington that's going to make you shoot 8 for 24 and you're not shooting out far with threes and all of that type. So all your shots was to the hoop and around the basket. 8 for 24? That's unacceptable when you shooting the shots around your range where you're supposed to shoot. You dictate that. They don't dictate that. I'm very annoyed with him tonight. You can't let Washington. Who does Washington got that's going to make you shoot 8 for 20? All your shots is around the court. Come on.
I'm with you, man. That's what I'm like. Who's guarded him? Like all of a sudden, is Ben Wallace and Dennis Rodman out there? I don't get it, right? I don't get it. And the one thing, Vance, I got to ask you this because I know they made light of this during the broadcast, but I was noticing right away. My son was noticing right away. I mean, do you call push off anymore with Russell Westbrook? I mean, he was basically one arming people out of the way. I'm not saying that's why we lost. I'm not saying that's a bit. But it was like these calls with these referees were not going both ways.
Yeah, it was clear to me, Tony, that the NBA, like they wanted a game 5. They wanted a game 5, if you ask me.
Yeah.
You look at the
Right.
drive that Maxey had in the third quarter, where he
Woo.
goes down the lane and he gets blown up, and the ball goes up in the air and off the top of the backboard, and he's yelling at the ref, and the ref's got his whistle in his pocket. It was ridiculous, man. So it's clear that the NBA wanted a game 5, but I know we talked about Tobias. I got to bring it back to our boy Ben. Tony, I know you said that you're not going to kill him, before the beginning of the show, but when Joel went out of the game and they announced that he wasn't coming back, my thought was, okay, I know you got 3 or 4 fouls, but this is your opportunity to have your signature game in this playoffs. The team needs you. You need to step up and bring it home. And he had an opportunity, at the end of the game, and he couldn't cash in at the line. And that's a big deal. Ultimately, does it mean anything for this series? I don't really believe so. But down the line, that's something that we're going to see again. And that is something that concerns me. But, with all that being said, the Sixers come back home and they close out game 5. But that was a gut-wrenching loss, man, because they definitely had a chance to pull it out at the end.
No, listen, the game was there to be won. It really was. I at one point we were down 1. I mean, Maxey hits that 3, and all of a sudden we're like, okay, we're looking good right here. And then, listen, I'm not gonna say questionable rotations, because I think Doc was just trying to do whatever he could to get some kind of mojo, right? I mean, Ben was in foul trouble, and I'll say what, Vance, you are right with the foul shooting, because number one, other teams are going to look at this film. But number two, I just kept thinking to myself, I'm not going to kill him for it, but I would be embarrassed. Like when you're walking, that play, when he was walking on the court and Westbrook's like, yo, grab him. I'm like, damn, dude, I would feel salty as hell if I'm that guy. Like, I'd be in the gym tonight hitting like 200 free throws, so that does not happen again, right? I mean, it is one of the biggest. It was odd. It was just very, very odd. Scott Brooks has done it before. He's going to do it again. But I'm with you. I think this means nothing for the series. Absolutely not. And a blessing in disguise. We have 100% capacity at the Wells Fargo Center on Wednesday, so that place is going to be ropping. I don't know. Does Joel Embiid play? That's going to be the question. We'll see. How hard. I think I agree. I think there's no way the big man don't come back, right?
First of all, we shouldn't have lost this game without him, but we definitely aren't losing at home without him, with our home crowd and 21,000 people rocking in the big house. We ain't losing that game with or without Joe. So I'm not worrying about that.
No, I'm with you. I am. I'm 100% with you. And, one of the things we always knew, Vance, coming into this series was, they're a high energy team. They like to run, right? They have a lot of fast guys. They got Ish Smith, who's really fast. Westbrook, obviously fast. Bradley Beal's really fast, right? So it showed with this team, with no Ben and no Joe. The offense looked very stagnant at times. It was so what play happens now? What do we do next? And nobody wanted to step up. It was really weird. And I think that's something that they really need to work on, because we haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, I agree. I know we talked about Tobias a little bit earlier and him not taking advantage of his matchups, but as I said before we went live on the show, I kind of felt like where Tobias was getting the ball, he was getting it out higher than he normally would, where he would go into that post on a guy like Ish Smith. So, not having Joel Embiid in the game and not having Ben Simmons in the game, that affects their spacing as well. We often talk about the shooters, but having Joel Embiid in the middle and having Ben Simmons on the wing also affects the spacing as well. Tony, what I noticed the defensive issues without Joel. The middle of the lane was wide open. What you saw that was different tonight as opposed to the other games was when he went out of the game, it was like guys had an easy pass down there. They weren't afraid to get down the middle and get to the cup. That's what I noticed defensively, is that having Joel Embiid in there in the middle makes a huge difference. And then the other thing is, man, like Dwight, my thing with Dwight is like, dude, Dwight has to play more than Mike Scott. That's number one for me. Dwight has to play more than Mike Scott. And when Dwight is on the floor in this situation, when Joel is not in the game, he has to be more disciplined. He has to be more disciplined than what he's been, because defensively, he could have made a difference. But for whatever reason, I guess Doc didn't trust putting him out on the court because he seems like he gets a foul every minute he's in the game.
Yeah, it's funny. I was listening to Al, and I was listening to Mark, and I was thinking to myself, so I have a big kid on my soccer team, and he's 4 inches bigger than any other one of the kids on the team. And no matter what he does, he gets called for a foul. Could be the cleanest play in the world. Doesn't matter. It's because, if he's, say, 5'8", and the other kid's 5'2", he's getting called for the foul. That kid falls, it's a foul. And at one time, I'd asked the referee, I'm like, yo, your calling is just based on his size. Like, look, it's what it looks like. And I think that's what's happening to Dwight Howard. And I think Doc, knowing the way the refs were so bad tonight, and so Washington centric, I was like, you know what? He's probably like, I can't even have Dwight in the game. And unfortunately, though, Mike Scott just, I don't know. I'm sorry, but he's got nothing right now. I mean, nothing. And if he's going to be in the game, don't shoot, please. Right. Don't shoot no more. I mean, just grab some fouls. Give him whatever you got to do. But I know they went small. I get it, but. Let the guy play, man. And what I mean by Dwight Howard, let him play. I mean, it's not his fault. He is gigantic. He is a human robotic specimen on a court. There's nothing we can do about it, right? I mean, come on. It was ridiculous.
Listen, Tony, at this point, I'd even take B-Ball Paul over Mike Scott.
Yeah,
yeah. Here's the reason why I say that, Al, is because if Mike Scott is not hitting the shot, you don't get anything from him. He doesn't defend. He doesn't rebound. You get very little from Mike Scott other than him giving you minutes. That's basically gobbling up minutes. That's what he did. But I would rather have a guy out there that's going to rebound the ball and at least be active.
I agree. I agree. I mean, and Ross is a big B-ball Paul guy, right? And he checking in says, same thing we just alluded to. We said it earlier. We have to stop putting Mike Scott in the center. We need to start using Paul Reed. I don't know what the problem is. Listen, this was just a funky game, man. It really was. I know the game could have been won. I understand that. I know there was a lot of different things that happened, but listen, we just got to go get them in game 5. They got their game. They gave us. They're not going to play like this on Wednesday. Just not going to happen. And I'll tell you what, though. All respect. Or I should say no disrespect to Russell Westbrook, but if I see his cheese and mug on my screen one more time Wednesday night after he pushes somebody off or he knows he flopped and got a foul call, I'm going to break the TV because I couldn't stand it. Even though he had a triple-double, I understand player of the game, but he knew exactly, and they were feeding into him. He knew exactly what he was doing, and he's not going to get those calls in Philadelphia. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, definitely not. And the other thing is, Robin Lopez isn't going to turn into Arvydas Sabonis.
What was that like? Shock, man! Like I've never even seen that like that before.
I'm talking to my grandson when he hits the first one. I'm like, this guy's trash. He makes like 4 or 5 more, and he's like, Papa, he ain't trash. He making. I said, this dude, his average is like 7 points a game. He's having a game of his life. Let's call it bullshit, and it's going in. It's going in. Like, what is going on? Like, you right then and there when he started making all those, you knew there's a problem going to happen in this game. I mean, give me a break with Robin Lopez.
Yeah, I'm with you. Molly checking in says, last time we won a series was game 5 versus Miami at home. The night Meek got out, so there's plenty of good vibes for us for game 5. 100%, Molly. 100%. Yeah, completely agree. I'm actually looking forward to Wednesday night now. Honestly, I'm actually looking forward to it. I think, what better way to come into the Wells Fargo Center with full capacity, with all the mandates lifted and everybody flowing around. And listen, I think Doc knew. I think Doc played that game and said, you know what? Worst comes to worst, we can't close it out. We'll close it out in Philly on Wednesday. Not that big of a deal. We need the big man for the entire playoffs, and hopefully we're going to the NBA Finals. So I don't disagree with it. I know I've seen a lot of people chirping about, he should have came back. Why wasn't he on the bench? I've seen a lot of that tonight. listen, I'm not
You need to
going
be
to kill
back
him.
there getting treatment. If
Yeah.
it was a problem, be back there getting treatment. That's more important than sitting on the bench. I'm not worried about him coming back. A couple of little stats, like I said earlier, Tobias 8 for 24. We got out rebounded. This Washington again. It's Washington. We should not get out rebounded. We got out rebounded 57-48. Washington had 12 blocks. 12, really? Washington.
And Gafford had like 7.
Yeah, Gafford was everywhere.
And then we shot 64% from the free throw line. That's unacceptable as well.
Well, those blocks, Al, and what they did tonight is the epitome of the statement blowing your load. Okay, that's exactly what they blew their load tonight. Okay, they just did. They gave us everything that they had, and it was good enough. If Ben doesn't get into foul trouble, if Joel doesn't get hurt, even if Joel gets hurt and Ben doesn't get into foul trouble, I don't even think
it would have been a different game. Yeah,
it's a completely different game. I mean, like I said earlier, it was just a perfect storm. It was, and it's not going to happen again. Now, one thing I want to ask you guys, Vance, I'll ask you first. You know, one of the things I noticed was, and I don't know how I feel about this. So you have Tyrese Maxey that's playing his ass off, 100%, giving him the spark, giving him the fuel. I think it was 5 minutes, 12 seconds left in the game, and he takes him out, which I was a little surprised. I know we wanted to get Ben back in the game, and I understand they play, but when you're in a game right now, when you get a chance to close out, nothing's working, your star's in the back getting treatment, your other guys got 5 fouls, and you have Tyrese Maxey just being the only offensive savior. I mean, do you really think? Don't you leave him on the court and find a way to try to play through it? I mean, I was really surprised that he put him on the bench at that point.
Yeah, the way Maxey was playing, you definitely didn't want to take him out of the game. Him and Furkan, in my opinion, were the two unsung heroes tonight. They're the ones that got them back in this game. So, Maxey had the hot hand too. So if you're going to bring Ben back in, find somebody else to sit. But you should have kept Maxey in there.
Exactly.
The kid. One thing that's apparent, man, is that the kid is ready for prime time. He's ready. So, if you're Doc and you're the assistant coaches, somebody's got to say to Doc. Maybe Doc is just doing his normal rotations, but in a game 4, a closeout game, you got to be in the moment. You know what I mean? You have to be in the moment and take advantage of what's going on at that particular time. And Maxey was balling. Maxey definitely should have stayed in the game. And they should have went out swinging with him and Ben on the court together.
Now, let me ask you this, and this is the interesting question because this is going in my head. So at that point where they're fouling, they're playing hack-a-Ben. Do you take Ben out of the game? Like, if you're the head coach, it's such a slippery slope here, right?
It was. I thought about that. It was like
about 217.
Like 240. No. When they first started doing it was like 240.
Yeah.
So after 2 minutes, they can't do it. So all you had to do was take them out for 40 seconds.
Exactly.
Yes, and that's a great point, Tony. You could have took them out for the 40 seconds, and then as soon as the 2 minute hit, then you bring it back in, and you know they can't do that anymore.
That's what I didn't understand.
How many times did they do that? 4?
I think 4 times.
Right, and then we could have saved ourselves all of that, but the thing is too, it's in the moment. You're not thinking about that right that exact second. For future reference, I probably absolutely want to go. Nobody's going to do that with 3 minutes left and 4 minutes left. They're going to do it in the last 2 minutes when it's a close game like that. So that is a great point. I would have took them out for that 40 whatever seconds, put them back in 2 minutes. And on your point of Maxey, he probably could have did a little exchanging, but I know what he was thinking. And we win with defense. And he was thinking, I want to have why am I missing this? I want to have everybody in there that's going to play defense at the top capacity they can, plus a little offense with a little veterans. So maybe, and he did one crazy shot. He was a little out of control. One shot he did, and I was like, "Yo, kid, you can't take that shot at that point." So maybe that had a little influence in it. But like we talked about, he gave us that juice in the arm that we needed to stay in this game and get back in there. And so did Court. Everybody been killing Court And he came in. He hit some big shots. They missed that wide open, top of the key 3-pointer that could have put us over the top. And he came up a little short on that. But hey, he gave us everything he could give us. Danny Green, I was talking about as far as that, bringing him back in for defense.
What were you saying, Vance?
No, I don't even remember what I was saying, Tony.
Well, here's the other point, though, right? So Al, I agree with you. So there was 2 points that I was trying to figure out what was Doc thinking. Number one, I agree. I definitely would have taken Ben out for those 40 seconds. That's why I brought it up. But the other end of it is, as a head coach, are you saying, you know what? What a good way to build this confidence. What a good, he needs to work through it because, like Vance said, the blueprint is going to be out. So another coach is going to do this again. You don't think that Nate McMillan is watching that blueprint right now? If we're going to go play Atlanta, you don't think he's looking at that? Obviously he is. And obviously that's going to come out. You think Steve Nash is looking? Of course, absolutely. Right. So I think maybe Doc was saying, let's hopefully push him through this and he'll get better. But
we got room, and we got room for it. So meaning
you got to win the game.
Right, we're winning the game, but the extra room to say, hey, all right, we lose this game, it's not that big of a deal. We'll come back and win at home. But I need to have him do that. I wish they would do it the next game too. So just do it. I want as much pressure on him to try to get through this as possible. He was making 50% of them. I need 2 for 2.
Hey, guys. So I don't know if you guys remember this, but do you guys remember doing Ben Simmons' rookie season? They did the same thing to him, Washington.
Yep.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I found that odd. Second thing is, and I tweeted this on Twitter. Did you guys find it strange that when Joel took that hard fall when he got blocked from Bertans, that Doc left him in the game? I thought that was the perfect time to take him out of the game.
I was shocked.
That was the first of his second fall. That might have been the difference between him finishing that game and not finishing the game.
I was surprised, man. When soon as he got up, and when he did that squirt when he held his back, and you see right. I was like, all right, he's coming out, and then I was like, why is he still in the game? Like, that's the most important part of your team. I don't care if he blows you off. I don't care if he says, I want to play. No, you get your ass out, you get checked out, and you find out what's going on. And that could have been a 4-minute absence, or even if it was the whole half. You're absolutely right, Vance. I was thinking the same exact thing. I was really surprised that they left him in.
Yeah, and I think he played the rest of the quarter, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was like maybe no, I think he went in the back like 3 minutes left in the half, maybe 3-4 minutes left in the half, if I'm not mistaken.
I think somebody put on Twitter he left the last minute of the first quarter.
Oh, first quarter, yeah, yeah.
But what I found strange was Doc didn't sit him. He literally played him up until the minute that he came off of the court, and that's when I think he
went right in the locker room.
Yeah. But what is that? That's 10 whole minutes.
Yeah.
Where you had an opportunity after that fall. That fall probably happened in the first 4 or 5 minutes. That was the perfect opportunity to get him out of the game, get him checked out, and make sure that he was okay. You possibly could have avoided that second fall.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, that could have been a big series turn right there, man. I mean, I should say game, not series, but game turn. That's a big game turn because, listen, again, we don't know how much more to say this, but we're gonna win or die with Joel Embiid, right? So let's not mess around with our big toy here, man. I mean, let's not mess around. So, listen, I know it's hard. You're in the moment. I get it. I understand, but at the same time, I mean, Doc's a veteran coach. I think Doc would at least admit. Obviously, we're not listening to the press conference because we're doing this live, but I think he would admit that maybe he should have took him out at that time. I definitely think he would. That 100%, 100%. But Wednesday night, listen, I don't think you change anything at all. I don't know, Al. I mean, listen, I think Joel plays. I'd be shocked if he didn't play.
I was just, as you guys were talking, I was thinking, Doc knew it. He's like, dude, I'm not playing you the rest of this game. You're not coming back out here. Get treatment now and let's get ready for Wednesday. And let's go. I'm not playing around with them. We're not going to do all this forcing you to play. Forget that. Let's worry about Wednesday and close this out. And I'm looking for 25 to 30 point win on Wednesday and just finish them off and let's put a nail in their coffin. I'm not even half a thought. I mean, when we asked the other night, did we think they want to win tonight? Yes. But all of this stuff didn't happen. We didn't know Ben was going to have 4 fouls in the third quarter of the beginning of the third quarter. And that, by the way, that foul was awful. That fourth foul, awful. That was like 30 seconds into the third quarter. They called that foul. Like, just ridiculous. It's like you said, perfect storm. So it is what it is. We'll finish him off and then be done.
So my buddy Pat checking in said, "Why would you take your best player off the court?" Says Doc said he was happy with the 1 free throw each time. Listen, if he did, okay, I'll take that after 2 minutes. But from 2:47 to 2 minutes, I'm not happy with 1 for 1 when I can have a higher percentage with somebody else that's on the bench. So listen, you got to swallow your pride a little bit, no matter what, those 47 seconds, and you got to get your man off the court. I mean, listen, and you know what? You could have played it off. I mean, listen, Doc's a veteran. He could have sat in a press conference, and when the question got asked to him to say, "Hey, why'd you take Ben off?" He could have been like, "You know what? I didn't want to risk a 5th foul." I mean, he could have easily covered that up.
Yeah, he could say I wanted to stretch his fouls out like he did. Matter of fact, he did that in the third, in the beginning of the fourth. He left them out probably till like 7 minutes when he doesn't normally do that. Now the bench was playing good, so that was another reason. So when the bench is playing good, you could stretch that. But a lot of that was I want him on the court for his defense. The rest of that quarter. So he absolutely could have used that, like you said, Tone. Absolutely. Easy answer.
Yep. Hey, wow. Listen, we got to check this out. Pat says he roasted D. Lynham on the question.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So D asked the question, and he got a little hype. Doc got a little hype.
I gotta watch that later on.
Yo, we better watch that, man.
Doc doesn't normally get too annoyed when somebody, unless it's a stupid question, but I think he's just annoyed at everything that happened in that game. I've seen him arguing a lot with the refs this game. Can you guys agree with me? Can Doc get 1 T this year? Just flip out and do something so you can get a T. It would make me feel better if he just got a T. Because it would tell me that you're protecting us. Like we're arguing with the refs, you're arguing with them, but you don't get mad enough to get a T. Just get 1 T, Doc. Can you get 1 T?
Listen. I'm 100% with you. So I'm gonna call this full transparency right here because I'm a big T guy, and I know Pat is to listen because he runs the soccer organization I coach for. Okay, and I have plenty of red cards in my belt because I've got kicked out a lot of games, man. A lot of games. So Al, I'm with you. So Doc, sometimes you got to just say, you know what? I got to go. I got to roll, man. I got to stick up for my team. And I thought he was going to get kicked out or get a T on a Danny Green play. With Danny Green, that was ridiculous foul call underneath the basket with Gafford. And Danny was going nuts. And Doc was going nuts.
So. Right there, that shouldn't even have been called. That was a horrible call. Like, I don't know what these, like you said, Rance, I think they just wanted a game 5. That's the only thing I could figure out. I mean, some of the calls was just outrageous. You looking like, really, dude? Did you really just call that in a playoff game? Like,
it became laughable. It became laughable at a certain point. Like they literally, when the Sixers had the ball on offense and they would drive, they literally just put their whistles away. They just put them away. But guys, let me ask you a question. Without Joel Embiid, did the Sixers miss out on the opportunity to go 2-3 on defense to throw a different look at Washington a little bit? I didn't see them do that. I saw them play a lot of man, but I never saw them.
And as you say that, Thibault didn't play enough for me. Because he could have changed 2 possessions by a deflection or steal or block. and he didn't play enough. I know we need the offense to come back, but once we were close, I think he should have had Thibault in there. And you're right, Vance. We didn't even try a 2-3 to give him a different look, which could have confused him. Yeah, you're right. That's an excellent point.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that too.
Yeah, you know,
100%.
but whenever they run it with Ben and Matisse, they've had a lot of success
Absolutely.
with the 2-3. So my thing is, if you're playing a team like Washington that's guard heavy, you know, you got Bill and Westbrook, and they're, you know, continuously trying to get to the paint. You know, you put that 2-3 out there and give them a different look. You know, that's going to help you tremendously without Joel.
He only played 15 minutes.
Say that again.
Matisse only played 15 minutes the whole game.
Right, and I thought Matisse played well, and this is what I'm talking about with Doc. You know what I mean? Like coaching a game, but not necessarily being in a moment, and that's what I think you have assistant coaches for. Like, you know, Matisse actually played a good game when he was in there. He hit a couple threes.
Yep.
He had a dunk. You know, he's going to give you outstanding defense. You know, maybe because they were in a position where they were chasing most of the second half. Maybe that's the reason why Matisse didn't play.
That's what I was thinking, Vance. I was thinking it was 100%. It was all about the point spread. I really do. I think it was all about the point spread. How much they were down. They were down to 13 at one point. I think maybe like 14. And you know, because Matisse, what did he have? 8 or 9 points?
That's what I was just looking at. He had 8 points in 15 minutes.
So, I mean, maybe he was trying to juggle the offensive firepower a little bit and hoping to get more out of guys like Seth Curry and Danny Green. But I agree with you, though, Vance. I mean, as a coach myself, sometimes you got to get in the moment. Even though you have your rotations, even though you have your team A and team B, you have your solid bench guys, you have your ringers like a Korkmaz you might have to throw in there, things of that nature. Sometimes you got to go with feel. You got to feel how the game's going. I honestly, I agree, Vance. I don't think Doc did that tonight at all. I really don't.
My thing with watching this game, guys, is like, you know, how many possessions was Ben not on the court and Matisse on the bench as well? And you've got Bale and Westbrook out there, you know, running amok. You can't be in a situation where you have Ben and Matisse on the bench when you've got guys out there like, you know, Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, and you've got to get stops. You know what I mean? You've got enough guys out there to score. You know what I mean? But you have to have at least that one guy on the court. If Ben's not out there, Matisse has got to be out there to help you get stops on the defensive end.
I agree, and I you know, and you gotta tip your hat. You gotta tip your hat to Scott Brooks, because as much as he looked lost in that press conference and defeated right after Game 3. You know, tonight he comes out and you see the plan of attack right away. It was attack Ben Simmons. That's what it was. I mean, that's why he got so many. He got the 2 quick fouls, because they were like, run at Ben and get him in foul trouble. And that's what they did. They got him in foul trouble. They knew that he was one of the guys. Now, obviously, they can't predict that Joel Embiid's going to get hurt, but getting Ben in the early foul trouble plays exactly what Vance is saying, because you have 2 elite defenders on the team, Matisse and Ben. And if one of them's in foul trouble and the other one isn't an offensive weapon, well, guess what? There's your blueprint too, because neither of them guys are going to be on the floor. And then you like Vance said, it was like, what did Alice say? Constitution Highway was like Constitution Highway, right? Right down the middle. I mean, nobody was even there. It was unbelievable. So there, you're spot on with that, Vance, 100%. Early foul trouble killed Doc's direction. Yeah, but Pat, completely agree. You know, unfortunately, you just got to think better on the fly, man. You just got to think better on the fly. You know, and I'm sure. Listen, you had Yeager there. You got Sam Cassell there. You have those assistant coaches. I just don't think. I keep saying perfect storm. I just don't think that any one of them could predict that all these things would have happened in one game, right? I mean, like it all just culminated into this game. So I think that's the biggest issue we had. And Rick says the Hawks are going to be a pain in the ass. First thing first, 100% capacity, finish them off. You know, Let's talk about that real fast because I don't think there's anybody in this chat right now or anybody watching this that fully believes that the Washington Wizards actually have a chance of coming back and winning 3 more games in this series, which is not going to happen. Okay, I'll tell you right now. I'll listen. I'll streak down Constitution Highway if that happens. It's just not gonna, and nobody wants to see that, so it's not gonna happen. So I completely agree with Rick. I think, obviously it's going to be a winnable series and we're going to win, in my opinion, but they're going to be a pain in the ass. That 100%. And I think that the coaching change actually helps them because now you're going with a proven playoff veteran in Nate McMillan who knows how to win in the playoffs. So he's got the team balling out there, man. And Trae Young's going to be a problem. He's not Russell Westbrook. Completely different players. So I don't know, Vance, what do you think about the Hawks?
Yeah, I like the Hawks a lot, Tony. They were coming into the season. I told some people that I thought that they were going to be a playoff team, and they laughed at me. And, and here we are. So I like them a lot, man. I think they've got a good thing going. I like Trae Young. I like Collins. I like Hunter, who's a local kid. And Clint Capella too, man. Clint Capella, the Clint Capella Joel Embiid matchup, I find very interesting.
Yes.
I find that very interesting because I feel like Clint Capella, he can make Joel work a little bit. But ultimately, I think if the Sixers end up playing the Hawks, I think it's a 5-6 game series. At best, the Hawks add a different element than the Wizards. The Hawks actually have a lot more guys that can shoot the basketball, with Bogdanovich and Herter and guys like that can actually shoot. That's a team that I think a 2-3 would be effective against because Trae Young, I don't know if you guys noticed, but when the Sixers play them, they seem to have a lot of trouble keeping him in front of them.
Right.
Whether it's Ben or Matisse, he's just one of those guys that, he's herky-jerky with the ball. He's fast. And he presents a lot of trouble when he has the ball in his hand. So it'll definitely be a fun series. But I definitely think the Sixers will win that in 6 games at least.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I really think Al, the only team that can beat Philadelphia is Philadelphia. I mean, honestly, right now, the only team that can beat the Sixers is themselves. And it's as simple as that. But this Hawks team, Vance makes great points because there's a lot of shooters on this team, man.
Absolutely.
A lot of shooters. So, it's not like you're going to have this cast of characters out here in Washington. Brooke Lopez Robin Lopez isn't on this team shooting up these prayers, right? I mean, come on. I mean, they have a solid starting 5 and they have a couple of dead ring shooters coming off the bench, guys like Kevin Herter who can knock down shots when available. So it's going to be a fun series. It's not going to be easy. That's why they call it the NBA playoffs, right? But we have to minimize this road to the NBA finals. We can't go. I don't want to be 2001 where we play a 7-game series against Milwaukee, 7-game series against Toronto. Right. We can't play ourselves out like that. We need to close these series out. And we need to keep them under 4, but 5, maybe 6 tops. But what do you think about the Hawks, Al? What do you think?
Trae Young, I'm going to stop it. This kid is ridiculous. He's shooting bombs. He'll take you off the dribble and kill you with the floater. I mean, he's getting his assists because he's got shooters on both the wings. He's got an arsenal. They have to stay home. That's what's going to be key against Atlanta is staying home and not trying to help on Trae. So staying with Trae, but not letting him get too far ahead of you so he can start kicking. And then when somebody gets help, somebody's wide open, and then they burying threes, and they can get hot from the 3-point line. So defense is obviously going to be key. They can't really play much defense, but they can score. So you have to defend the shooters, and that's the most important thing to me. As far as Capella, he's going to give you rebounding. He's not going to give you points unless it's a Trae Young beating somebody up the dribble. Maybe Joe go to him, and then he dish it off. That's about it, a couple oops, things like that, but he's not going to score. But like I said, the shooters is all. That's all. That's all they got. There's nobody penetrating except for the one kid. What's the one kid you said, Vance?
You talking about Bogdanovich or
No. The young kid.
Kevin Porter?
No.
DeAndre Hunter?
DeAndre.
Yes.
I like DeAndre Hunter.
He will penetrate, but nobody else is really penetrating. Everybody else want to shoot, catch and shoot. So that's what you do. Staying home is going to be huge.
Yeah, I agree. You have to keep, the key to beating a team like Atlanta is you have to keep Trae Young in front of you. If he gets by you, that opens up so many possibilities. Like you said, that floater,
Right.
the lob to Capella, the kick out to Bogdanovich, Gallinari, Herter. That's not what you want. So I think in that series, Ben and Matisse are going to be huge. They're going to be huge in that series. Those are going to be the guys that, when Ben's off the court, you're going to have Matisse on Trae Young. Yeah, that should be a fun series, though.
That's going to be great. To have Matisse on him is going to be very fun because he's going to beat Trae. Trae's going to beat him a couple times, but Matisse can get him from behind. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be very interesting having him on there. I could see him playing a lot of minutes in that series.
Yep. Well, it goes without saying, right? We always talk about, best players, great players are going to get theirs, man. They're going to have their games, right? So, let Trae Young get his, but you can't let everybody else beat you. And that's it, right? That's exactly what's going to have to happen.
And I take 2s over 3s any day.
Yes. 100%. But let's do this. We went about 40 minutes. Let's do a little final thoughts, little future looking. I'll come to you first. Final thoughts from tonight going forward to Wednesday. What you got, man?
As you say in a blowout, just throw this in the trash and forget about it. It's over. Yep. Let's go to game 5. Let's get on the flight home, get a nice rest. Find out. I'm pretty sure, unless something's a little more wrong than they're saying, he's going to play, I think, on Wednesday. And then we're going to do what we got to do in the game. And hopefully him and the whole starting 5 doesn't even have to play in the fourth quarter. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And then for some reason, I do think it's going back to Atlanta, though. I think New York's going to win their next game, and it's going to go back to Atlanta. I do have a funny feeling. And I got to give them credit. It is rocking in New York. It is rocking. I can't wait till we start rocking like that. I mean, it's rocking. I gotta kill man. I hate the Knicks. I had to say it on Twitter, too. I hate the Knicks, but to be in that atmosphere. Woo!
Hey, man. Listen, not only the atmosphere, we all talk about the Knicks, but you remember, Al, I talked about the Knicks like 2 months ago, and everybody laughed at me. I'm just throwing it out there, okay? Give the boys some credit. They come a long way. Tibbs got that team out there balling, face a lot of adversity out there. So the biggest question for the Knicks is going to be, do you max out Julius Randle? But that's a conversation for another day. Yeah, exactly. So, Vance, final thoughts. What you got, man?
The Sixers played a desperate team tonight, man. In desperate times, call for desperate measures. Their coach pulled out every stop he had, but those stops ended in Philadelphia on Wednesday night. So, we didn't get the sweep, so we're going to settle for what they call a gentleman's sweep, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll do 5 games instead of 4. So, gentleman's sweep coming up on Wednesday, so we can still all get out our brooms on Wednesday.
I like it. Yeah, but I'm just going to stick to sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some, and it was the perfect storm, and it will not happen again. And I'm going to make a prediction right now. Ben Simmons will shoot 75% or higher from the line come Wednesday. I guarantee you that. Okay. Right now, he is 4 of 18 in this series. I'm telling you now, the man is going to be on a mission. He's going to want to get fouled. He's going to play like a man possessed, because I'm telling you, any man that I know would be embarrassed at what happened in that game. And he is not going to come back and not going to be solved from now. I'm telling you that right now. So I agree, Vance. It's going to be a gentleman's sweep. Let's get it. We'll take
a monster game on top of that. No problem.
What's that, Al?
And I think you'll have a monster game on top of that. Like not even the free throws, just come out and just do one of his Ben games, and everybody be like, "See, that's the Ben I want. That's the Ben I want." You know how people go.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm usually one of them, but Pat says great show, guys. Really enjoyed it. You better Embiid it. We will win Game 5, 128-97. I like that. Keep it under 100.
I'm good with that
100%.
number.
I like that. I like that.
Absolutely.
But as always, man, for Half Court Heat Ratio Sports, give us a follow, a subscription, hit the notification bell. For Al Griffin, Tony Jigsaw Cotillo, Vance Crew. As always, everybody stay safe, stay healthy. Go Sixers, and let's get out the Bruins for the gentleman's sweep on Wednesday at the full capacity Wells Fargo Center.
Get healthy, Dre.